Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, across this country, Americans are feeling the pain at the pump. Gas prices are approaching $4 a gallon. Families are going to spend, on average, about $800 more on gas this year than they did last year. Unrest in the Middle East and a weak dollar is driving oil prices even higher. Now, more than ever, we must produce more American energy. We need to do this to reduce our dependence on foreign oil. And Americans are looking to Washington for leadership. Madam President, all you have to do is pick up today's USA Today to know how much, and I know you hear about it too when you're home on the weekends, how much this $4 a gallon gas is impacting people in our states. Poll, gas prices hurting many. $4 a gallon clamp requires cutbacks. Well, let me just read to you, Madam President. As gas prices hover near $4 a gallon, nearly 7 in 10 Americans say the high cost of fuel is causing financial hardship for their families. This is a new USA Today Gallup poll. More than half say that they have made major changes to compensate for the higher prices, ranging from shorter trips to cutting back on vacation travel. It goes on. For 21%, the impact is so dramatic, they say, that their standard of living is jeopardized. So here we have families all across the country, in your state as well as in mine, families who are dealing with kids, bills, mortgage, and this sort of increase, $800 out of their ability to pay for other things this year, clearly impacts their quality of life. Well, Americans want answers, and they deserve answers. They want to know, how am I going to pay my gas bill? Well, when we have American energy right here in this country, they say, why are we so dependent on foreign countries for our energy? Well, they want to know, where is the leadership in Washington? Well, this very week, the President has finally said that he understands the need to produce more American energy. Well, you know, he's used that same line many times before. The actions of the Democratic Party today on the floor of the United States Senate do not track with the lines coming out of the White House. The administration wants Americans to believe that the administration has seen the light. But you know, Republican Representative Doc Hastings, member of the House of Representatives, has already called their bluff. Representative Hastings is the sponsor of legislation that would allow more energy production off the coast of Alaska. And he said that it is, quote, ironic, he said, that the White House is now supporting this idea. He said because the White House just recently opposed the idea when he introduced it in the House of Representatives. Now, you know, the Associated Press was even more direct. They said that all of the administration's ideas had come from 3 bills that were passed by the Republican-controlled House down the hall. And the Associated Press said that the White House had opposed every single one of these bills. So despite acting against the production of more American energy just a week ago, the President now wants us to believe that he supports it just because this week he says so. Well, I hope that his change of heart is sincere, but I have my doubts. Because unlike energy, talk is cheap. Madam President, the administration is trying to use this sudden change of heart as a bargaining chip to pass legislation that is brought up by liberals in the Senate this past week. Unlike increased production, the bill on the floor now by the Democrats will not help the American people. In fact, the bill is clear evidence that the Democratic Party has no plan to address high gasoline prices. Why? Well, the solution that we hear for high gas prices is a tax increase. Since when did raising taxes lower the price of gasoline? Since when does raising taxes on one thing ever lower the price of that thing. To me, this is just another distraction. Now, the nonpartisan Congressional Research Service has already told us that there are some common sense facts about energy taxes. They've told us that raising energy taxes will not lower the price at the pump. In fact, the Congressional Research Service says that increasing energy taxes will increase the price of gas and increase our dependence on foreign oil. This administration has consistently pushed policies that actually make the pain at the pump worse. Instead of supporting all of the above energy production across our country, they've been more focused on excuses about why we shouldn't use more American energy. If you look back over time, there is a clear pattern. In 2008, when he was a candidate for president, then Senator Obama said that high gas prices weren't a problem. He said the only problem is that they went up too fast. Interior Secretary Salazar, when he was a member of this body, said that he would not support more offshore drilling. He said even if gas prices hit $10 a gallon. Even Secretary Stephen Chu, who is the Energy Secretary, was quoted that same year as saying, "We have to figure out how to boost the price of gasoline," he said, "to the levels of Europe." Gas prices in Europe routinely hit $8 a gallon. Well, with these sorts of individuals in charge of our energy policy, it's no wonder that prices are way up over $1 from where they were a year ago. This administration's shutting down of drilling in the Gulf of Mexico is going to drive American oil production down by 20% in 2012. Even former President Bill Clinton called the continuous shutdown ridiculous. And to make matters worse, President Obama appears to be more enthusiastic about importing oil from other countries than he is in terms of using our own. Brazil has discovered huge reserves of shale oil, and the president recently visited Brazil, and he said he wants the United States to be Brazil's best customer for oil. Well, when it comes to oil consumption generally, the president's story continues to change. A few weeks ago, President Obama tried to make the case that Americans should decrease their consumption of oil. He said, we've only got about 2 to 3% of the world's oil reserves, and we use 25% of the world's oil. Well, according to the president's measurements, the United States has about 28 billion barrels of oil. But according to the Congressional Research Service, the United States actually has 163 billion barrels of oil. That's over 5 times as much as the president says we have. And the United States is currently the 3rd largest oil-producing nation in the world. President Obama has also said that he wants to cut imports of foreign oil by 1/3. Well, his new proposal is definitely a step in the right direction. So why would he tie it to a bill, this bill, that makes American production harder and more expensive? Another of the president's goals is to make alternative energy the cheapest form of energy. He continues to talk about that, and I applaud that goal. But we need to make energy as clean as we can, as fast as we can, and do it in ways that don't raise the prices for American families. Well, regrettably, the president's method has been to make everything but alternative energy more expensive. And the bill his party is pushing right now is another step in that direction. So the evidence is clear. The liberal energy strategy is not creating American jobs. No, it's not creating jobs here in America. It's not reducing the cost of gasoline in America. And it's not strengthening Americans' national security. Instead, Americans are paying more at the pump. They're living with high unemployment, and they are producing less American energy. Well, I hope the president will follow up on his promise to help America produce more oil. I also hope he'll stop pushing the damaging legislation that his party has put forward here this week. You know, it's time we have a true bipartisan approach on energy. Senator Manchin of West Virginia and I have introduced just such a bill. It's a bipartisan bill. It's called the American Alternative Fuels Act. This bill truly would ease Americans' pain at the pump. It would repeal barriers to alternative fuels so that American energy can thrive. It would promote the production of alternative fuels derived from American sources. This bill acknowledges the truth about our energy crisis. We need more American energy. We need it all. Well, in addition to the green jobs that the President keeps talking about, we need red, white, and blue energy and red, white, and blue energy jobs. We must keep focusing on making our energy as clean as we can, as fast as we can, and do it in ways that do not increase the cost on American families. The only way that Americans can take the President's call for more energy production seriously is if he and the Democrat leadership abandon their fixation on raising taxes on producing American energy. That is the first step we need to do in helping relieve pain at the pump. Mr. President, I yield the floor and note the absence of a quorum.